Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another breakdown and predictions video, and this week it's a big weekend, man. We got Cinco de Mayo weekend. You know what that means. Whenever it's Cinco de Mayo weekend for combat sports, they're going to be going off. We got UFC 288. We got Henry Cejudo in the main event. He's kind of like a quasi-Mexican, even though I guess a lot of Mexican people dislike him because of the Devin Figueroa, Brandon Moreno thing, and then he's also said some things like he'll never raise the Mexican flag and things like that, but he's headlining for Cinco de Mayo. Hopefully, Mexicans get behind him and cheer for him. I'm a fan of Henry personally, and then we got Canelo. He's coming back. He's gonna be fighting John Ryder in Mexico. That should be really cool. Demetrius Johnson. He's fighting tomorrow. That's always fun to watch. The last time he fought Adriano Moraes, we saw a KO of the year contender, and there's other stuff going on too on a smaller scale with Cage Warriors, a couple other smaller shows, and you can get access to all that over on patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru. We just came off winning some money yesterday on Invicta FC 53 X MMA 6, so everyone that was on the Patreon that watched those shows got to make some money and have some fun, add to their bankroll before Saturday for UFC 288. So if you want to go and make some money, man, I'm over 250 units profit lifetime. I'm one of the best MMA handicappers on betmma.tips, and you should definitely go check me out over there, betmma.tips, patreon.com. Get involved, support the channel, and start making yourself some money, because more often than not, if you I could say this without full certainty, in the full 5 years, if you would have followed all my picks for the full year, you would have came out with a very profitable outcome at the end of the year. So I definitely recommend you go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru, and get access to all the bets that I'm going to be putting down this week and just support the channel. But besides that, man, let's get some comments. Let's get some interaction on this video. Let's get some likes. Let's get some comments down below. Would really appreciate some more interaction from you guys, and that would really help the channel grow. It's very easy to hit that like button. So if you're listening right now, you hear my voice, just push that like button. And besides that, today at 9 p.m., also Thursday, if you're watching this on Thursday, I'm going to be doing a live stream. We're going to do a betting breakdown of UFC 288. I'm going to be doing it with Lucrative MMA, who's another very good handicapper in the space. So definitely come back, check that out if you're interested, at 9 p.m. tonight, Pacific time. But besides that, man, let's get into this first fight of the night. It's going to be Joseph Holmes taking on Claudio Ribeiro. And this is a fight that I feel like the line is a little bit off. I could never trust Claudio Ribeiro at that number just because of the way that he fights. He, to me, is a knockout or bust kind of guy. I guess he could potentially win decisions, but it would have to be against the right fighter. For Holmes, he's someone that I don't necessarily trust either. I backed him a couple times and he's burned me. And I like his intangibles. He's very big for the weight. He has a long reach. And he's fairly athletic, and you could tell that he's improving, but still just doesn't have all the skills to compete. And I feel like he doesn't do the best against pressure. And with Claudio Ribeiro, if you're not going to do the best against pressure, that could be a big issue, because Ribeiro comes forward with these real wild flurries. And Claudio Ribeiro, I don't think he has great striking, but he has a nice left hook. He has heavy leg kicks. And then he could blitz in with dangerous flurries of punches, and he has decent kicks as well. So even though he's not technical, he has that danger factor. He is hittable. He is someone that you could definitely land clean on. If you get him in exchanges, you could touch him. And his defense is kind of his offense. We saw that fail him in his last fight with Abdul Razak, where he got caught and knocked out. And I do think on the feet in this one, he probably have the slight advantage. I think the leg kicks could be potentially a factor for Ribeiro, and then I think he could land some counters, get Holmes uncomfortable with some blitzes, and land some punches through that too. And Holmes is a guy that has a pretty nice jab, good straight punches, nice front kicks, nice front knees up the middle. He's the more technical striker, but he's not as aggressive. He's a little bit low volume, and I just feel like he doesn't use his length as good as he could do potentially. And Ribeiro's a guy that has longer arms for the weight. He's still going to have a reach advantage of 3 inches, but it's going to be a lot less pronounced than he usually has, which I think is going to make him potentially even more gun shy, especially facing a heavy hitting opponent too. And I feel like Holmes, if he was smart, I think a way to win this fight would be to get into the clinch against the cage and get the takedown, because I feel like Holmes is underrated with his clinch game, with his wrestling against the fence. It's just going to be if he can get it there. And Ribeiro, I think, has a lot of struggles getting off the cage, getting taken down against the cage. Once he's put on his back, he early on will explode back up because he is athletic, but once he starts to get tired, you could start holding him down, controlling him. And he did get a finish in the 5th round of a fight, but that was because his opponent totally gassed. And before that, his opponent was beating him, and that guy was 40 years old coming in on, I believe, like 3 days' notice. So I've seen some people point towards that to say that they believe Ribeiro's cardio is not bad, but I feel like that's not a good indication just because he got a 5th round knockout in that fight to say that his cardio is good, because he just had a good scenario there in terms of his opponent. But it's just tough for me to trust Joseph Holmes to be able to do the right thing and be smart. He's still green in the sport. He's not someone that has a lot of experience, and I personally believe that he may try to keep it standing more than he should in this one, not try to get to the clinch. And he's not really a wrestler, so I think he will struggle to kind of set up getting it there. Usually he ends up reversing someone along the cage when they try to take him down and putting him against the fence and then taking him down or something like that. He's not really someone that is actively searching for the takedowns. So I'm going to go with Ribeiro in this one, and I'm going to pick him to win by knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round. But personally, I feel like this is a fight that could go either way, and if I'm looking at it from a value perspective, I think that Holmes is the value side, but as a pure pick, I'm going to pick Claudio Ribeiro. And up next we got a flyweight bout between Rafael Estevam and Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And man, I feel like flyweight finally now, maybe for the last few months or so, or maybe even a year, but I feel like they're finally starting to get some more credit, more love from the fans, and they're finishing fools now, man. I mean, you see these guys like Brandon Royval, like Manel Cape, they're going in there and taking people out. So this is a really fun division, and this should be a good fight too. Rafael Estevam, he's making his debut in the UFC, and he's an aggressive grappler. I would say his striking is not the best, but he has good kicks, and he will pressure behind a lot of front kicks, round kicks. He'll throw some straight punches. His hands, to me, are not good, but he does have good eyes, and I do see him kind of pull back to avoid punches and then return. But I think Zhumagulov's body punches and his ability to switch stance and extend combinations could eventually open up some big shots that he can land on Estevam. Estevam, I don't like that defense of pulling back to avoid punches, but he also throws a lot of kicks without setting them up. Estevam, he'll stand right in front of you too sometimes when he's throwing kicks, and very hittable as he enters range. I think that in this fight, he's not going to be able to compete on the feet that well. I think he's going to have to grapple, and he wants to get fighters near the fence and then level change. He has good takedowns, especially when he can get guys' backs against the cage. And when he gets on top, he has good positional control, good ground and pounds, and he's very, very solid at just keeping the position. And he also has a decent double in space, so he can take you down in the center and control you there. I feel like with Zhalgas, that's going to be where he could have more success holding Zhalgas down. I don't necessarily know if he'll be able to hold him down against the cage, because I've seen Zhumagulov use the cage really well to stand up. So if he could take him down in the center, then I think that's where he could potentially have some more success. But Estevam, he does have good cardio. He will push the pace. So far, he's fought all Brazilian fighters, so it's kind of hard to gauge how good his wrestling really is. He has been able to take down these Brazilians pretty easily, but how is he going to fare trying to take down fighters where their countries have more wrestling-heavy styles and better wrestling backgrounds? For instance, like a Zhalgas Zhumagulov, and we're going to have to see. But Zhumagulov is a slick striker, man. The guy has really good footwork, movement. He has good head movement, being super hard to hit. He switches stances. He'll give a lot of different looks. He has good counter-punching ability. He rips the body. He's very fast, and he throws power with the overhands. I feel like he, in this fight, is going to have to potentially check more leg kicks than he usually does. I saw his fight with Amir Albazi. He was eating a lot of low kicks. And in this fight, if he checks a couple, I think he could go a long way in negating Estevam throwing as many leg kicks. But his defense overall to the head is really good. And the main issue with this style is he's a counter fighter that attacks the body. mainly throw single shots sometimes, and judges just do not like that style, man. A lot of the times they do not credit counterpunching, they do not credit body punching as much as I think they should. And Zhumagulov has been a big victim of that. I feel like his last 2 fights, he got robbed pretty bad, man. He should have got the win, but that's either going to motivate him or break him, and we're going to see in this fight exactly how he shows up. But Zhalgas Zhumagulov is the best wrestler that Estevam will have fought to date. He has only been taken down 2 times in the UFC. Both of those takedowns came against Amir Albazi, who's a beast grappler, and he was able to get back up the first time very quickly. But when Amir Albazi took him down in the 3rd round in the open mat, he did control Zhumagulov for a couple minutes. But Zhumagulov, he's been facing guys like Albazi. Albazi's a high-level grappler with title aspirations, and I don't know if Estevam is on that level. We're going to have to see. But Zhumagulov can also get takedowns himself. I mean, the guy has a nice double. He will use it to get to the back. He has good mat returns and control from standing from the back position, too. And his cardio is on point. Even though I think Estevam probably has the edge in the cardio, Zhalgas knows how to pace himself. He's fought very different styles. He's fought high-level veterans, and he's going to be ready for this fight. And this fight's make or break for him. I mean, just because of the scenario the judges put him in, he's in a do-or-die position here. But I have to favor Zhumagulov. I think that the switch stance style, the body attack, the striking advantages is going to play out here for him. I think he should do the damage on the feet, stay off his back enough to clearly get the win. Estevam has not fought the level of competition Zhumagulov has, and I think we're going to see that in this fight. I think we're going to see Estevam has a few holes that he needs to correct, come back, and he could have a good future in the UFC, but I think Zhumagulov is going to hand him an L here. And this next fight, I really don't have a big opinion on it. I don't know how anyone he can at all. I mean, Braxton Smith, I watched his last 5 fights. They all were super fast, and the guy looks like a beast. I mean, he's an incredibly explosive, athletic guy for his size. He closes distance quick. On the inside, he's throwing hammers in combination super fast, and he's just hunting that knockout. He's gotten those first-round knockouts all in a row, and he's just been able to take these guys out, but very sloppy. I mean, he gets backed up and is just winging punches and leaving himself very open to be hit. And if he doesn't get that first-round knockout, I don't know how good his gas tank is going to be. I would assume that he's going to slow down majorly, and don't know anything about his grappling. I mean, the guy's kind of like short center of gravity guy, stocky, so I think he's going to be probably hard to get under and get down. But if you put him on his back, he's probably a fish out of water. His last fight after the knockout, he was saying, I got to get a team. Right now I've been self-trained and all this stuff. So that's pretty crazy that he made it. If that's true, he made it all the way to the UFC without getting any real training from a coach or learning any real martial arts skill. He's just teaching himself. But the reason why he definitely has a chance in this fight is because he's just so much faster, so much more explosive, athletic, and powerful than Parker Porter. And Parker Porter is one of these slow, plodding guys, comes forward using his boxing, and you could get to him. You could land clean on him and potentially knock him out in that first round. It's definitely possible. But Parker Porter, he likes to play the long game in his fights at heavyweight. He's been in the UFC for a while now, and we've seen him fight some different style of opponents. But mainly, what Porter likes to do is walk you down, put his hands in combination. He has decent boxing, even though he has slow hands. And he has nice leg kicks, and he can mix in the clinch, mix in some takedowns. But just nothing spectacular outside of his cardio. I would say his cardio is high level for a heavyweight. But besides that, he doesn't really offer much. And his last fight, he did get knocked out pretty badly very quickly against Justin Tafa, which I think you can kind of look at this fight as a similar type of matchup where he's facing a green guy, very inexperienced, dangerous knockout striker without much else to their game. And that fight, he couldn't get past that knockout power, and he got finished. This one, I really don't know. I mean, I feel like this is a coin flip fight. I can't sit here and say I'm going to be confident backing Braxton Smith, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to go with Smith here. He fought more recently. He fought pretty recently. I think, can get the knockout here, just being a little bit faster and more explosive early on. Parker Porter, he lost 2 in a row, 38 years old. I don't necessarily know where his head is at. But, man, I mean, if this is like as big a coin flip if I've ever seen one. It could go either way. We don't know really much of anything about Braxton Smith. And Parker Porter's serviceable, but he's a guy that can get easily taken out. So, man, I'm going to go with Braxton Smith here, first round KO. But pretty much zero confidence on this prediction. And continuing through the early prelims here, next we got Phil Hawes versus Ikram Aliskerov. And this is a pretty intriguing fight. You know, we got two guys that I think are pretty high level. Phil Hawes kind of right outside that top 15. I believe he even got ranked at one point for a very short period of time, but I don't think he's necessarily at the level of a ranked fighter, but he's right outside that ranked competition level to me, and he's a beast. He's really good everywhere. His striking has leveled up. His cardio has leveled up. His composure has leveled up. I got to give this guy, Phil Hawes, a lot of credit because even though, you know, he lost his last fight, he got knocked out by Roman Dolidze. If you look at his fight, for instance, with Kyle Dawkins, the guy wasn't tired at all in that fight, and cardio used to be a big issue with him, and his striking has leveled up. He's gotten way better defensively. His composure is much better. So I just got to give it to Phil Hawes, and he's going to be fighting at home in here in New Jersey. So that's something that's going to be pivotal for him. I'm sure he's going to be pumped up, ready to go. And he's going to be taking on a guy that he's the underdog to, even though he's making his UFC debut in Ikram Aliskerov, which you usually don't see that against a fighter that has 5, 6, 7 UFC fights like Phil Hawes. They're going to be the underdog to someone making their UFC debut. And I don't agree with that line personally at all. I feel like Ikram is getting a little bit of that Dagestani tax, that off tax, where I don't think the guy is necessarily as good as maybe some people are making him out to be. When I watched a few of his fights, you know, I just wasn't blown away with anything that I saw. I feel like he has decent striking. He might be the slicker striker with the better movement and footwork, but I think Phil Hawes with the jab and leg kicks and pressure is going to be able to get the better of the stand-up. I just think he's a little more powerful. I don't think Aliskerov has a lot of power in his punches or his kicks, and I don't think Aliskerov has a great chin either. So, personally, I feel like Phil Hawes can pressure and win the striking in this fight. Phil Hawes has a nice jab, good leg kicks. He's a technical striker. He, you know, does a good job of throwing 1-2s. He, on the inside, will mix in elbows and things like that. And with Hawes, he does have a questionable chin, but I think that, honestly, I just don't see Aliskerov having that power to hurt him and knock him out. And I think that Hawes' striking has leveled up quite a bit. If you watch his fight with the Leeds, I mean, he only got knocked out because he got his leg destroyed with that leg lock before they got back to their feet. And I feel like he's going to be the superior striker in this one in comparison to Ikram and the superior wrestler, which I think a lot of people, they don't give enough credit. Like, they'll value the Dagestani wrestling to such a level, like, where they're putting him on a huge pedestal, but they're not giving the credit to the American wrestlers, man. The guys that are D1 wrestlers, the guys that are national champion, high-level wrestlers like a Phil Hawes. He wasn't a national champion, I don't think, but high-level American wrestler. And I think those guys can easily compete and a lot of times out-wrestle a lot of these Dagestani guys. And I do think that Phil Hawes is going to be the better wrestler and show to be the better wrestler in this matchup. I think he could put Aliskerov against the cage, hold him there, and I think that could be a big factor in him winning the fight. I feel like he's the bigger guy with the better gas tank too. So if he can rough him up against the cage, get him a little tired, then you could take him down a couple times. And I do think that he could take Ikram down. I haven't seen Ikram off of his back. I don't know necessarily if he has a good get-up game or if he has good submissions, sweeps on bottom, but I would kind of be surprised if he did because he's a top player type of fighter. You know, he likes to get in top position. I don't see him taking down Phil Hawes. I've never seen anyone take down Phil Hawes, and I don't think Ikram Aliskerov is going to be the guy to take down Phil Hawes. I watched his fights with this Chad Hanokin guy, and he couldn't take down Hanokin. He actually got taken down himself. He was getting held against the cage, and I don't think that Hanokin, a South African fighter, is going to have better wrestling than Phil Hawes. He struggled in that fight with Nishan Burrell to hold him down. So I just feel like Phil Hawes is getting undervalued here. I know he has had some performances in the UFC that make you kind of, trepidatious about him. He got knocked out a couple times and things like that. But personally, I feel like he's going to expose Aliskerov a little bit. And I still think Phil Hawes is a good fighter. I think that he's someone that can beat a lot of guys in the UFC and maybe even get into the rankings one day. But I feel like he's going to get the job done against Aliskerov, and I think he's going to win pretty dominantly. I think people will be surprised at how good Phil Hawes looks in this fight. And this next fight, I'm pretty confident in this one. I'm not going to have a big breakdown. I'm going to be going with Khaos Williams. I feel like he's probably the safest favorite on the card. Khaos Williams, we haven't seen him in a while, but we all know what he brings. The guy's extremely intense, extremely explosive, athletic, powerful. He likes to close the gap with those straight punch attacks. He has good ability to land that straight cross right down the middle. And if you exchange with him, he'll explode in with combinations. He's very good at closing that distance, and he has a chin, so he could give it to take it. He also has okay grappling. Like, he can mix in some takedowns if he really has to. But obviously, most of the time, he's just wanting to bang it out. And he's just one of these guys, man, that's just very explosive, dangerous. If you can point him from the outside like a Randy Brown with kicks and with jabs and kind of move around him, pull him into shots, you can get the better of him. But he also dropped Randy Brown a couple times, and he's always going to be dangerous on the feet against anyone that he's in there with, even if he's not necessarily the most technical guy standing. And I do think that obviously super technical strikers will be able to beat Khaos. Good wrestlers will be able to beat Khaos. He has holes in his game, but he's going to come in shape. He's going to be intense, aggressive, and he's going to be looking to knock you out for all 3 rounds. With Rolando Bedoya, he is pressure fighter, tall, long, lanky, rangy guy. He has decent striking too. Like, he'll throw good combos. He does a good job of slipping and ripping with shots, but head movement is bad, man, and he rolls with punches sometimes pretty well, but he takes shots clean, and he likes to stay in the pocket and brawl, exchange. That style against Khaos Williams is a bad style to do. I mean, I see him sometimes mixing in some wrestling, but I don't think he's a high-level enough wrestler to take down Khaos, and that's usually not what he likes to do. He likes to play that high-volume striking game in the pocket, and I've seen him get dropped before. I've seen him rocked against regional scene competition. So I just feel like Khaos Williams is going to touch this guy's chin in the second round and get him out of there. Bedoya, he has slick combination punching, but I don't think it's enough to offset his bad defense. And I just feel like Khaos Williams is going to make him pay for those mistakes and put him out. So I'm going to go with Khaos Williams by knockout. And this is going to be another quick breakdown. Kenny Nzechukwu against Devin Clark. Another fight where the last one I was pretty confident on who I was going to pick. This one I have no idea. I feel like it's like a pick'em fight. Devin Clark, I think the guy's underrated at this point. I feel like he has definitely, in the last couple years, leveled up pretty significantly. His striking is way better than it used to be, man. I mean, his footwork has gotten so much better. He is more composed. He's picking his shots better. He's throwing really nice head kicks. He is getting better with the hands too. And I feel like his striking is definitely leveling up. But this fight's like the worst matchup for what he wants to do on the feet, because he's one of these guys who likes to explode in, explode out, use that lateral footwork, and then close the gap. And it could work for him in terms of if he can get a couple of takedowns, get Kennedy guessing, then he can start landing on the feet. But with that style, you can run into shots, you can run into jabs, you can run into straight punches. And Kenny Nzechukwu is one of these guys that has a super long reach. And when he starts to let his shots go, he's impressive. He can throw some nice jabs, nice straight shots, good lead hooks. He can land clean counters. He has a really nice counter knee up the middle. So obviously in this fight with the guy that's constantly going to be looking to take him down, that's going to be a big part of his game plan. When you look at Kennedy, that's really his takedown defense. He's looking to land those counter knees And if he lands it, he can knock you out. And if he doesn't, then he's going to get taken down, put on his back, or get pushed against the cage and get grinded on. So that's kind of the story of the fight to me. I mean, is Kennedy a guy that when he lets his hands go with the jabs, with the 1-2s, and is very clean, fast, throws in combination, he could overwhelm Clark from range and get him out of there, or walk him into a big shot and catch him with the hands. But I feel like more than likely, if he's going to knock him out or if he's going to beat him, it's going to be through hurting him first with the knee. I think he's going to flash him with the knee and then probably finish him off with some punches or take him out. But Devin Clark, I mean, recently the guy's shown a Teflon chin. He's been able to battle through and get to decisions after facing a ton of adversity in a couple fights. But he did get finished by Mirzakhanov to the body. So maybe attacking the body could be another thing for Kennedy with the knees and with some punches. But Kennedy, the main thing he has to do in this one is avoid getting put against the cage, held against the cage, and taken down with those singles and the doubles, man. And if he could do that, then you'll probably eventually find his timing and start to land clean or land that counter knee that gets Clark out of there. If he can't, and it goes to decision, I think it's like Clark probably will win 50-50-ish. And I don't know. I just feel like Clark is going to be winning the more minutes of the fight, but he's eventually going to get caught and get finished. That's kind of what I see happening, like a lot of Nzechukwu fights. So I'm going to say that knee connects in this one. I'm going to say that he's able to, in the second or third round, after kind of being dominated a little bit, turn the tables and take out Clark. So I'm going to go with Kenny Nzechukwu by second round KO TKO. But from a betting perspective, I would say this is a dog or pass situation here. And up next, we got Movsar Evloev. He's taking on a short notice opponent in Diego Lopes. And full disclosure, I didn't have a lot of time to look up Diego Lopes, so kind of doing this one off memory a little bit because I have seen him fight a few times. But Lopes, what I remember is his striking was a little bit weak, and he had a good submission game. So honestly, I mean, maybe he could catch Movsar off of his back in a submission. I think that's his one way to win. We have seen Movsar in a few tight submissions, like with Nick Lentz. We saw him in a couple tight submissions against Mike Grundy even. So maybe, I mean, Diego Lopes could catch him in a submission and submit him. I think that would be his one path to victory. But we all know Movsar Evloev, the guy has teamed up with American Top Team now, but he's also a former Tiger Muay Thai fighter, and his striking is definitely getting better and better. He has that durability, pressure striking, and power. He's getting better with his boxing, and then his wrestling is elite level. I mean, the guy could take you down and grind you out for 3 rounds with ease. His submission defense has been a little bit suspect, but he's been able to survive every time he's been put in deep submission attempts, so he's very tough. And I don't know anyone that's going to be picking Diego Lopes this week or telling people to bet on him or anything, and I'm not going to be one of those people. So I got Evloev. He's not a big finisher, really, and Lopes is a guy that most of the time when he loses, it's via decision. So I'm thinking it's probably going to go to decision, but hard to say. I mean, maybe Evloev can get him out of there, but I'm going to say Movsar Evloev wins by decision. And here we go. We got into the co-main event, and I'm excited for this one. Belal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. There's been a little bit of heat on this one, and these guys have been circling each other for like over a year now, where there have been rumors that they were going to fight at one point or the other, or they were talking about fighting each other, and it just hasn't happened. And now it's finally going to go down, and the winner of this fight's probably going to get a title shot. So they waited for the right time to match up with each other to get the highest stakes possible. And it's a 5-round co-main event that just once again shows that probably the winner is going to get a title shot. You don't usually see 5-round co-main events that are non-title fights. So it's definitely a huge fight, even in the UFC's eyes as well. And man, I mean, Gilbert Burns, he just got that big win over Jorge Masvidal just a couple weeks ago. So he's coming back here in less than a month, fighting twice in a month. You got to give him a lot of credit for that. That's pretty awesome, man. And for Belal is coming back off of Ramadan, so he's also having to have some sort of adversity as well. And hopefully his weight cut goes good and he performs to the best of his capabilities, because I know for a while he was trying to get it to be at a catch weight, and eventually it did settle at 170. So I'm assuming that Belal will be good. He doesn't seem like he's that heavy of a welterweight anyways. But this is a tough fight, man, to break down. I mean, it's going to be early on. I think Burns is going to be way faster. I think he's going to be able to land clean punches, like heavy shots. And Belal Muhammad has a chin, but Gilbert Burns drops and hurts a lot of people that he touches clean. I think he's dropped his last three I don't know if he dropped Usman, he dropped George Masvidal in his last fight with that uppercut, and he dropped Chimaev, and he also has some knockouts on his record. But the thing is with Gilbert, I don't think he necessarily, if this fight becomes more of extended exchanges, it stays in the pocket a little more. I think that's where Belal Muhammad could start to have success with his jab, landing punches off the jab, straight shots, and I think he could land clean and start to get Gilbert tired. So the way I see this fight going down is early on, I think Gilbert is going to boss the fight. I don't think he's necessarily going to be going forward, but I think he's going to be moving around on the outside, laterally, side to side. And I do think that he's gotten better with his foot speed and his footwork, so he can control the distance a little better. We saw that in the Masvidal fight, bounce in and out of range, close that gap. He's not quite as stiff, and he's throwing straighter shots now too from the outside, which is making him a little bit more dangerous. But I think both these guys are going to be looking for calf kicks, and then I think Burns is going to be landing that overhand, landing that left hook a lot early in the fight, clean on Belal, and he might land and knock him out. But if he can't knock him out in those first 2.5 rounds, that pressure could definitely start to get to him from Belal. I think Belal's pressure is really good. He cuts the cage off. He could take shots, and then if they get in that pocket exchange, I think Belal's hands are a little slicker, more technical, a little bit faster because he throws straight shots. And maybe I don't think he's faster with his hands, but I think it's just once Gilbert slows down a little bit, the straight shots will get there faster for Muhammad than the labored hooks and overhands of Burns. And I just feel like the pressure could start to get to Burns. We could see him get tired and get finished, or we could see the jab really start to affect him. We've seen him dropped. I don't really necessarily trust Gilbert's chin either. And I don't see a lot of grappling in this fight happening. If someone does get a takedown, I think it's going to be Gilbert Burns. I don't think Belal's going to try to wrestle in this one. I would be pretty surprised to see him want to try to grapple with a guy like Gilbert Burns, who's super high level on the ground. And so I think he's going to want to keep it standing. And Burns has good doubles, but Belal Muhammad's takedown defense is pretty legit, and I just don't see him, unless he could take him down early in the fight when he's at his freshest and submit him, I don't see him being able to really implement much grappling or take him down very effectively or submit him or anything like that. So I do think it's going to be a stand-up fight and play-out striking. And I'm having a really tough time with my prediction because I do feel like Burns could get ahead early and then coast and maybe win a contested decision, or he could get the finish early, or Belal could break Gilbert and finish him late or win a decision himself. So I see multiple scenarios for multiple fighters, for both fighters to get the win here. But, man, ultimately I'm going to pick Gilbert. I'm going to say Gilbert wins by decision, 48-47. I think he's going to do enough early to survive late and not lose the decision. And I think it'll be a competitive fight. I think it'll be close. I think early on Belal will get kind of dominated, but he'll work his way back into it. And I really think this is one of these fights where a live betting scenario is a lot safer than a money line pick. I think that if you wait after the first, second round, you could kind of start to see, okay, is Gilbert fading? I'm going to go in on Belal here. Or you could potentially see Gilbert really kind of be ahead throughout the whole fight or get the finish early. But I'm going to pick Burns by decision. This is one of these fights another one that I'm pretty low confidence in. I think either guy could win, and I'm just going to be watching as a fan. I think it's a great match. And for this next fight, we got a female fight between Marina Rodriguez and Virna Jandiroba. Two Brazilian girls are going to be throwing down. And when you look at this matchup, pure striker versus grappler matchup. I do think Virna Jandiroba is the girl that has improved her striking more than Marina has improved her wrestling and her grappling. Rodriguez has improved her grappling defense as far as being on her back. She's very hard to submit, but I've never seen her get up off bottom ever. I mean, any of her fights that I watched, I've never seen her get up off of her back and stand up. I've seen her defend submissions and then be able to get up like when Carla went for that leg attack and gave up position, but I've never seen Rodriguez be able to get back up to her feet. Her takedown defense has stayed pretty putrid throughout her whole UFC career, and she's getting up there now. She's 36 years old, so she kind of got fucked over by UFC, I would say. She probably should have got the title shot, but they were kind of screwing her over, and then they gave her Amanda Lemos, and she got knocked out in that fight. So it's tough to kind of gauge where Marina Rodriguez's motivation level is at and where her confidence is at after a fight like that, after losing her streak and kind of getting pushed back down the rankings, especially when she feels like potentially she should have been in a title shot and gotten that opportunity already. But she has a big task in front of her, Jandiroba, who's high-level grappler. She's a girl that's coming off probably her biggest win to date when she beat Angela Hill in her last fight. And she's looked good. She looked good against Amanda Hebos. She dropped her on the feet. And even though she lost that fight, it was competitive. And then she beat Angela Hill. And she's basically, when you look at Jandiroba's career, anytime she's fought a striker, she's been able to get the job done and do well. When she fights girls that have grappling where they can kind of grapple her back like Carla Esparza or defend the takedowns like an Amanda Hebos. Mackenzie Dern even comes to mind where she couldn't get her grappling game going against Dern. Then that's where she struggles. That's where she tends to lose. But when she's fighting other girls that are just strikers, she's good at using her lateral footwork, using that kind of awkward striking, the 1-2s, to eventually time the takedown and get on top. And when Jandiroba gets in the top position, she's not going to relinquish it, and she has a very, very tight submission game too. I think it'd be very unlikely to see Jandiroba, maybe not unlikely, I think it's possible, but we've seen enough from Marina Rodriguez to admit that she has very good submission defense, so I don't think it's a high likelihood scenario that she would get submitted by Virna Jandiroba if she gets taken down, but I don't think she's getting back up to her feet, and I think if Jandiroba takes her down with any time to work where there wasn't major damage done by Marina, that's her round. So Jandiroba only needs 1 or 2 takedowns, and the fight could be hers, honestly. And Marina, she's going to be trying to keep that range with her striking. She's going to be looking to use the front kicks, use the straight punches. She's going to be trying to tag Jandiroba. She comes in, make her pay for the takedown attempts with the elbows probably, and stay on her feet and just bop up Jandiroba where she will have a big striking advantage. But I think Rodriguez, her overall, her athleticism, her aggression, and volume, it's all going down a little bit as she gets older. I don't know if that was just in the Lemos fight because she was fighting another girl that was like a beast girl. But even in the fight with Xiaonan, I felt like the same thing where I didn't see that same skill level and aggression that I saw from Marina Rodriguez in previous fights. And Marina Rodriguez, she did beat Mackenzie Dern, but she struggled against a lot of the grapplers that she's faced. She's had some draws against girls like Randa Marcos, and I'm going to go with Jandiroba in this one just because I think she's more well-rounded. I think she can get a takedown a couple times in a round or two and win the fight that way. I feel like the striking can be quasi-competitive because I think Marina's going to be waiting for the takedown attempts, and that's going to open up maybe some 1-2s from Jandiroba and some shots that she can land too. And I just feel like the skill gap in the wrestling and the grappling is a lot bigger than, maybe not even that, maybe it's not a lot bigger than the skill gap between the striking, but I think that just the way the fight's going to play out, I think Jandiroba can be competitive in the striking using her footwork and pulling Rodriguez into takedown attempts and things like that. I think she could maybe catch a kick or two. And I just trust Jandiroba more to implement her game plan to get the win. So that's why I'm going to side with Jandiroba in this one by decision. And closing out the prelims, we got a fire fight right here. This should be a banger. Dober versus Matt Frevola. we know what we're going to get when both these guys get in the cage. They're going to go in there, they're going to bang, and it's going to be a fight of the night contender. I guess with Matt Frevola, and what I think he's going to try and do in this one is make it a little bit more boring, like he did in the fight with Jalen Turner, like he did in his fight with Luis Pena. But obviously, that's going to be the smart thing to do. If Matt Frevola tries to come in here and stand and bang with Drew Dober, he's going to get sparked out cold. I mean, I don't see any other scenario happening besides that if they do come out here and brawl, because Drew Dober is just a more technical striker. He is faster, more powerful, has a better chin, and he just has a lot more experience too in wars against higher level guys. Frevola, chin's a little bit sus. I mean, we saw him get KO'd really fast against Terrence McKinney. We've seen him get dropped many times. And Drew Dober, I mean, that guy has never even been close getting put out. I guess you could say Terrence McKinney got the closest, but Drew Dober was able to bounce back in that one and get McKinney out of there. So it just shows how tough he is. His last fight, he was kind of getting his ass whooped by Bobby Green before he found that finish. But once again, if you have that power, you don't need to win minutes. You could win with one shot. And yeah, I just feel like the striking, Frevola and him both kind of like to do the same thing. They like to get in the pocket and throw the 1-2s with the lead hooks, and they like to throw leg kicks on the outside. I feel like Frevola probably has a more diverse kicking game overall, but Dober is a lot better in that pocket exchange. And I think Dober's going to be pressuring forward, being the aggressor in this one. And Frevola's going to have to mix in takedowns, which Drew Dober's takedown defense has gotten a lot better. It hasn't been tested too much. I mean, they've given him a lot of fan-favorable fights recently where he's went in there against guys that wanted to keep it standing with him. But we have seen him submitted, and we've seen him get taken down and lose fights that way. So that's going to be the path to victory to Mina Frevola, who has pretty good wrestling. We've seen him grind out some good fighters in the past, like I just named, like Jalen Turner, like Steven. But I'm thinking that Drew Dober is going to catch him and knock him out in this one. I feel like Frevola, his recent fights, he's been getting knockouts. He's been keeping it on the feet more. And I think that's going to be his demise. I think that he's going to be confident in his striking. And I think that confidence is going to get him caught and get him knocked out. So going to go with Drew Dober to win this one via knockout in the first round. And up next, we got a women's fight between Jessica Andrade and Xiaonan. This is a pivotal fight in the 115-pound division. The winner of this fight is probably going to be one fight away from a title shot. Jessica Andrade, she's had her last few fights at 125, but obviously she's a former strawweight champion, and I think she does her best work at 115, so it's good to see her dropping back down to this weight class. And Xiaonan, she is someone that's coming off a pretty big victory in her last fight, and she's been doing well. I mean, she did have that loss to Marina Rodriguez, but it was controversial. She could have potentially gotten the win, and outside of that terrible performance where she got absolutely destroyed by Carla Esparza, she has looked good in really every fight. Her last fight, she went in there, she took out Mackenzie Dern, so she was able to get the win over a high-level grappler, which was kind of a question mark that a lot of people were trying to see if she could answer, and she did do that, so that was good. But it was a competitive fight, even in the stand-up, and Dern did get her down a couple times, I believe. But when you're looking at this matchup with Jessica Andrade, I think it's a pretty difficult matchup for Xiaonan. I see a lot of people are picking Xiaonan, and I'm pretty surprised by that. I mean, I understand that Andrade did lose to Erin Blanchfield, but in my opinion, she did win the first round, and she was looking good on short notice in against a fighter that had a way longer reach than her, was a lot bigger than her physically, and was taking shots, man. I mean, Erin Blanchfield's chin is legit. She was eating some really big bombs that I don't see most girls, and I don't think Xiaonan is going to be able to eat those shots and take them like nothing like Erin Blanchfield was. I think Erin Blanchfield's chin is something serious for that female division, and it's at 125. But when you're looking at this fight, I think that Xiaonan, she does decent against pressure, but I don't really rate her hands that much. I think she has decent hands and decent crosses, but she doesn't really throw combinations. And her biggest assets on the feet are her kicks, the side kicks, the round kicks. And I think that Jessica is going to be able to shut all that down with the pressure. I think when Jessica gets inside, she's going to be able to get the better of those boxing exchanges, land clean, have the faster hands, better ability to land combos. And I think that Jessica's going to have a huge advantage if she wants to wrestle and grapple in this one, which we haven't seen from her in a while. But at 115, she has that ability to take those down and grind them out a lot more than at 125 and 135. And Xiaonan, when she gets put on her back, she's a fish out of water. We saw that in the fight with Esparza. We even saw it in the fight with Mackenzie Dern. And she's tough. I mean, she'll be able to do as much as she can to survive, but I don't see her getting up if Andrade takes her down, and I don't see her being able to really do much. I think Andrade can finish her on the ground with ground and pound and really control her. I think she could take down Xiaonan pretty easily if she comes in with that game plan. And I don't really get the love for Xiaonan this week. I mean, maybe people are thinking Jessica Andrade is on the way out. They're thinking that Andrade just, I don't know, maybe they don't think she's the same, or maybe they do think that the footwork and the speed of Xiaonan and ability to kind of control distance and move laterally can maybe give Andrade issues, which it could, but I just feel like the pressure of Andrade is going to add up. I don't think Xiaonan has the greatest hands, and I don't think her kicks are going to be that effective. So I got to go with Andrade in this one. I'm going to pick her via second round KO TKO. And kicking off the main card, we got a sweet fight right here. Kron Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. Clash of styles and really interesting matchup here with Kron Gracie. He hasn't fought in a long time. It's been maybe over 3 years, or if not, very close to 3 years. And I don't even know if he was in the UFC when Charles Jourdain, or if he's fought since Charles Jourdain has got to the UFC. He probably has, but it's been a long time. That's what I'm trying to say. And Jourdain has been active. He's been one of these guys that has made a name for himself through COVID and through currently, being very active even now. But up and down guy, and kind of been exposed for having bad takedown defense and bad grappling. And against Kron Gracie, if you have bad takedown defense and bad grappling, you could be in for a real short night. So I definitely think this is a great matchup if Kron Gracie is coming back in here with a renewed vigor or the same exact ability that he had previous to the layoff. I think that matchup-wise, this is one of the best matchups he could get, because he's getting a guy that's a name guy, close to the top 15, guy that's mixed it with a lot of high-level fighters recently and had successes and kind of downtrodden moments, but it's a guy that gives his back and gets taken down very easily. And if Kron Gracie takes you down early in that fight, takes your back, just ask Alex Caceres, man. The guy's going to be taking your neck home with him and getting the victory. So Charles Jourdain has a real tough test in front of him, to me, because you look at it just from a style perspective. I mean, Charles Jourdain is a real wild striker. He likes to kind of mix it and get on the inside where you can grab him. I mean, it's not like a range striker, even though he has that ability. He's more one of these guys that wants to close that gap with some explosive actions and then try to knock you out on the inside. And unless he can just catch Kron Gracie with something perfect and KO him, or rip his body and keep him on the outside and just beat him up with striking, then I think Kron is going to eventually be able to find his way to the back and get that submission, or at least backpack him and win the rounds. And I think if he gets to the back, it's going to be game over. I think he'll submit him for sure, especially in that first round. But Charles, he does get better as the fight goes on, and if he could start to put damage on Kron, maybe he could really beat him up down the stretch, kind of like Cub Swanson. But one thing about Kron is this guy's stubborn, man. He's a mule. Like, you could hit him with bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb, and he's not going to change his style at all. He's going to keep coming forward. He's not going to get tired, and you're going to have to knock him unconscious to get him to stop trying to come at you for sure. And his striking is not terrible. I mean, I think that he could even compete on the feet because of the threat of the takedown with Jourdain a little bit. And ultimately, I'm going to pick Kron here by first round submission. I just feel like Charles, that submission defense, man, and that takedown, maybe not the submission defense. We did see him get submitted by Arosa, but we haven't seen him submitted too much. But just the takedown defense, we saw Shane Burgos go in there and take this guy down, take his back. Shane Burgos isn't a grappler, man. So Kron Gracie If he can do that, I think he's going to get that submission. So I'm going with Kron Gracie, first round sub, rear naked choke. I think he's going to come back and make a statement in this one. And I think it's a good matchup for him. I don't necessarily think he's going to be able to do this to a lot of guys in the weight. I mean, it's going to be matchup based, obviously, with Kron. But I think this is a good matchup. I think Kron Gracie can get the job done. Finally, we got the main event. We got my guy, Henry Cejudo. He's coming back. He's taking on Aljamain Sterling. And to me, this isn't Aljamain Sterling as the undisputed champion. This is a unification bout right here because Henry Cejudo is still the lineal champ at 135. He never lost the belt, and he's the one that took the belt from the man. You know, TJ Dillashaw was the man. He was the guy that had the belt undisputed. Aljamain won a vacant belt against Petr Yan. So, honestly, I mean, Henry Cejudo is still the champ of the division. He's still the champ. Aljo's the undisputed UFC champion just because Henry retired and gave up the belt. But Henry comes back, wins this one. I would count it as a title defense and, say that he notched another title defense on his record, honestly. But obviously he's going to be considered a two-time bantamweight champion if he wins. But this is a tough one, man. I've been saying that about a lot of these fights. I feel like this card particularly, it's like live dog central, man. Like every single fight, an underdog definitely has a possibility to win. And this one, it's like an even money fight, and I totally agree with that. It's just extremely difficult for me to pick a winner. Henry, he's my guy, man. He's like, if you went and watched the channel from back in the day, I was picking him as a big underdog in all those spots during his run, and he was cashing out for me. But what has he been doing in the last 3 years? Like, I really don't know. It looked like he got out of shape at one point, and then he was coaching guys and doing his thing lately, but it's tough to know exactly where he's at. He's older. He's 36, and it's just, I don't know. I don't know if he's coming back because he just had a kid. He has another kid on the way. He wants to make some easy money. I don't know if he's coming back because he feels like he really can go up and challenge Volkanovski and become that C4 and does believe he's going to run through Sterling. He's just as good as he's ever been. We're going to have to really wait and see. Like, with Aljamain, at least we do know that he's going to be in shape. He is going to be fighting probably very similar to what we've seen him fight like in his last couple fights. He's been active, and he's been taking out guys. But you do look at his title run. I mean, there is, like, his last fight with TJ. What can you really read from that fight? I mean, he was fighting a guy with a one arm basically for 2 rounds, and he eventually got him out of there. But to me, if you knew that TJ was coming in with that injury, Aljamain would have been like a minus 5,000 favorite. So that fight was really pretty irrelevant to me. And then you look at the fight with Petr Yan, the second one, kind of a 50-50 fight. Either guy could have won. The way he won the belt was, a little bit fugazi, but I feel like Aljamain, he has that big chip on his shoulder, even though he's the champ and even though he's had two title defenses, because of what I just said, though, because there is still questions. There is still people talking about his title reign in kind of a disparaging way. And beating Henry Cejudo, I don't care that Henry's been out for 3 years and there is a lot of question marks regarding Henry. That win, you got to respect that win, and that would be the biggest win during his run to me as bantamweight champ, and it would solidify him as one of the best bantamweights of all time. So I think Aljamain has a lot of motivation here to come in and defend the belt, kind of prove that Henry's era is over. This is that new era, and he's the leader of the new era. But, man, beating Henry Cejudo is easier said than done. We got the Olympic gold medalist. We got the flyweight champ. We got the bantamweight champ. A guy that has undying heart and toughness. A guy that's never going to quit on himself. But when you're looking at it, just like trying to break it down, Henry has never fought anyone like Aljamain Sterling with the length, with the kicks from the outside, with his wrestling ability, with his ability to get the back on Henry and choke him out. He hasn't fought anyone even remotely like Aljamain Sterling. We have seen Sterling face guys that are kind of good boxers with pressure styles that have great wrestling. And he struggled against certain guys with that style, like Brian Caraway, Rafael Sunsao, and things like that. But he's also been able to beat a lot of guys with that style too, with Jimmy Rivera. He beat Pedro Munoz and a few other people. But this, like, it's just extremely hard for me to pick a winner in this one. I don't really see Aljamain taking Henry down. But if he does take Henry down and gets to the back, man, I mean, that size is such a huge difference, man. He could backpack him and make it look super easy. But if it stays on the feet, I do think Henry has the better in and out movement. He has better footwork, more power, better hands, good leg kicks. It's just, he's going to have to close that gap on Aljamain. That's going to be always looking to take him down and throw in a lot of kicks and staying active. And he's going to have to kind of break Aljamain with that pressure. And I think if he can keep it on the feet and stay in Aljamain's face, it's going to be his fight all day. I don't see Aljamain being able to compete with him in the pocket. And I think if Henry makes it a war, Henry's going to win that 9 out of 10 times. But something's telling me that not totally confident in this comeback from Henry, man. Like, I want to pick Henry really bad, and I'm going to pick him on as the pick. And I was really, like, thinking early on when I first saw this matchup made, I was like, oh, man, I'm a bet on Henry. We're going to cash out. It's going to be easy money. He's probably going to be an underdog, or it's going to be close odds. And the closer and closer that the fight gets, I'm thinking I'm not going to be putting any bets on Henry. I just feel like it's tough for me to pick a winner in this one because we haven't seen Henry face anyone that has this type of style, tries to run and kick and then take you down, backpack you and submit you against Henry. And Aljamain, I think this is not a great style matchup for him because it's going to be hard to take down Cejudo, and if he's forced to strike with anyone, that's not his first game plan. But the size is going to be a big advantage for Aljamain. He's going to be significantly bigger. He's going to have a big reach advantage. He's going to be throwing those kicks, and he's going to be able to be aggressive with Cejudo. But ultimately, I just can't go against Henry. I just feel like Henry is the tougher guy. He's the smarter fighter. He's the fighter that has the better wrestling and the better striking overall. So I just feel like he's going to pressure Aljamain. Pressure is going to burst pipes, and he's going to eventually start to tire Aljamain out like we saw Jan did. Body attack, head attack, maybe mix in some leg kicks. And I don't know if he's going to take him out in the 4th or 5th. I feel like it's probably going to be a decision win for Henry. But I could see him finishing him in the later rounds too, potentially. So I'm going to go with Henry Cejudo as my pick in the main event. But this is another one where I would either live bet it or just watch it as a fan for fun, because who knows where Henry's at. He's never faced this type of style, and it's really a difficult one to have a confident pick on. But that's the full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 288, guys. Thanks for watching. As far as a part of the week and most confident pick, for my most confident pick, I'm going to go with Movsar Evloev. And for the part of the week, I'm going to go with Khaos Williams and Drew Dober. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you learned something new from this video. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to check out patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru for all bets for this card. I got 2 bets for UFC 288 up. Going to have a few more. There's going to be one going on tomorrow. There's going to be Cage Warriors on Saturday. There's going to be Fury FC on Sunday. So you don't want to not be on the Patreon and make some money, man. I'm one of the best gamblers around. So go over there. I can almost guarantee you if you follow my picks for an extended period of time, you're going to make yourself some cash. You could be supporting the channel, and you're going to be having some fun. So really, really appreciate everyone that's on the Patreon, and really hope and urge other people to come and join and be a part of the community. And besides that, hit the like button, put a comment down below. Let's try to get 150 likes. I would really appreciate that, guys. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to be doing a video with Lucrative MMA at 9 p.m. today. Going to be doing a betting breakdown of UFC 288. So if you're interested in that, make sure to come back to the channel and check it out live. And really appreciate it, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. And make sure to stay locked into the channel.